Good afternoon. So I'm here today to share some new research and I think possibly a new framework for how native advertising works. I work at AOL and we handle a number of digital content properties which include the Huffington Post, MSN and also Windows apps. So we have quite a pool of data about how the various types of native activations work. To give you a few examples, here's one that's an example for an insurance client, or units like Click and Reveal, and this one's a sort of fun one. It's who made the mess, the kids or the dog, which is on behalf of Clorox. Infographics, which are really successful, and this one's for the film district. And to put some context, there was a lot of talk about viewability this morning. This particular example drove an incredible average viewability across all of those infographics of over 11 minutes. So that sort of gives an idea of the power of how these native activations work. And also in its most basic format, brand blogs on the Huffington Post. And here's an example, if you see in the middle top section, for Sleep Number, which is a mattress brand. So we do a lot of native and a lot of content marketing. And at last year's iComet Summit, I wasn't here, but hopefully some of you remember my colleague Tom Kelly shared some results from an ongoing initiative where we measure the effectiveness of content marketing and native advertising campaigns. This effort started over 4 years ago and continues today across 50 programs and 250 activations. And we see that all of these programs considerably deliver against driving brand affinity, consideration and interest. So we know these programs work, but what we don't know and don't understand is why they work so well. So to illuminate this, we recently conducted some consumer research. And we did something different. We chose a moments-based segmentation approach as opposed to an audience-based segmentation because content fulfills so many different needs for any individual over the course of a day or a week. We all turn to content for different reasons. The moment segmentation represents this faithfully. And the research found that content moments comprise of 4 elements. The motivations for initiating the content moment, the emotions felt during the experience, the outcomes of that content, and also the topic of that content. And these 4 aspects combine together to form the content moment. And it turns out there are actually 8 content moments. And each content moment in which an individual engages fits into one of these segments. There's inspire, to be in the know, to find, to comfort, connect, to feel good, to entertain, and also finally to update socially. There is in fact a tremendous amount of data behind this, and there's far too much to go through today, but I'm going to give you a small snapshot of some of the sort of key findings to that. It's important to point out that all these moments are actually quite different from each other. An inspire moment is very different than a find moment, which is different from a feel-good moment. And I think it's interesting to note that when looking at all the moments, the largest is entertain, and that only accounts for 18% of those moments. So we can look at these segments by content topic, and here is a sampling to that. Beauty content tends to fall in the inspire and the find moment. Personal finance content has a different profile in the find and comfort moments. And almost half of politics, and this is in the US, I should point out, all of half of politics falls into the B in the no segment. Now, I didn't write this, my US colleague did, so apologies to anyone from the US, but he points out that the data shows that at least in the US, literally no one turns to political content for inspiration. And he said, I can't say I'm surprised in that. Similarly, formats align to segments. You can see here that articles and short videos and listicles all tend to cluster around different moments. And when combined with topics data, this becomes a very powerful way to frame out the native strategy for a brand. Now, we're able to use our existing data in our normative database and overlay that and score all the programs in it according to the type of content. And as you can see here, all the moments successfully drive increases in brand affinity. Now that's great news because it does allow for full palette of tactics. However, when we look at the lower funnel metrics, like consideration, not all moments work as hard as each other. Feel good, inspire, and connect are the only types of moment that drive lifts in consideration. So depending on the objective of the native advertising campaign, the data shows that these moments work better than others. So the reason for this, it comes back really to the nature of the content moment itself. For native to work, it needs to align the brand with the content motivation, the format, the emotion, and also the topic. And one more thing to say, we're now extending this research to another 9 markets around the world to get a truly global view of how these content moments work in different markets.